All right, what's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father. Amazon Kindle Create Space. Um, Mothers and fathers parent differently. I'm gonna say this in a few different ways, pertaining to same-sex and opposite-sex parenting. Same gender and opposite gender parenting. Fathers are better equipped to handle sons because they grew up to be men. Mothers are better equipped to handle girls because um, they can better equip them to be women. Because of this, there are certain things that each gender can do with their own gender that the other gender is a bad idea to do. You know, when we talk about female emasculation of their sons, um, it's not a good idea because when they go out into the world, what are they gonna do? Do you think they're gonna let women just talk to them crazy and punch them and slap them and kick them and run over them? Because no, they're gonna be grown, physically grown guys, and they're gonna have the physicality to be able to hurt somebody. So even the young ladies that come across them, at some point are gonna realize you better stop messing with that guy because he might snap. And on the flip side of that, this is why you don't see fathers manhandling their daughters or whipping them, you know, a lot like that because you don't want them to get accustomed to the idea that men are gonna um, interact with you when you wrong by whipping you or beating you, because that's what they're gonna equate you to with after a while. That's why you have to change your discipline. And people act like that's unrealistic, but it's so realistic. It doesn't make sense to act like it's not. Uh, Another thing about that is when you're talking to, say, excuse me, when you're talking to mothers about the way they can be with the interact with their daughter, like how come the little girls and boys react to the father differently? Well, it's simple. Your son may hang on every word you say because you his mom and he love you like that. They may You don't have to go upside their head because you're their mother. For somebody that motherly love transcends having to actually discipline them. And plus, um, they're not gonna challenge you in the same way they challenge a man because if they challenge their father isn't just a representation of just their father. It's a representation of men in the world in general, and if they on the level to actually back up the shit that they talking, which 9 times out of 10 they're not. So it's an introduction to manhood by saying, certain things you can do, certain things you can't do, and certain things you're gonna have to live with if you do. So now what happens is it's the same thing with little girls. She's called a daddy's girl. She's not called a mama's girl. It's the same exact thing. He's gonna. She loves dad. He's gonna talk to her, and he's gonna understand. She's gonna hug and kiss and have a special place in her heart for her dad. So his words mean more than mom's words. Here's what it is. But the mother is gonna be able to interact with her in a way that's practical to real life. Like she's gonna be able to tell her what will happen, what can happen, and how to carry herself and all that other stuff. Because daddy has never been a woman and mama's never been a man, and it's not gonna ever happen. So the parenting is different, and also that dynamic is there to show people that you have to love on the opposite sex. You're not. That's why men have a certain respect for men, no matter what that man is. I don't care how big, how small, how rich, how poor. There's a certain respect that men have amongst men because, if you cross that line, um, that doesn't mean that your size and your wallet and your occupation or your status is not going to save you if you go too far with a guy. I think it's the same. And women, I'm sure they have some type of code like that also. I don't know what it is, but because I'm not a woman, but I'm sure they do. So that's why it's different that way. So at the end of the day, you start to wonder, like, okay, why would you want the dad to go extra hard on a little girl, and why would you want a mother to go extra hard on a little boy? Because if you do that, you really gonna wind up in a very bad situation because they're not gonna be able to take it out on their parents. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna take it out on the world. If she has daddy issues, she's gonna take it out on all the men she comes across. If he has mommy issues, he's gonna take it out on all the women that he comes across. Yes, it's very plain and simple, and that's because of the difference in discipline. And what I mean by the difference is you can't discipline them the same. You can't. They're not the same. You know, and you can't expect uh, men to discipline little girls the same way women do and expect those girls to grow up to be functional. And you can't expect women to discipline young boys the same way men do because and expect that they're going to be functional. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. You're going to create a warped reality and a skewed view of how the world works and how to operate in it. And this is why we have a lot of this dysfunction is because people have tried to put their discipline and structure in a different way. And now you have these children who are interacting with the world in a completely different, opportunistic, self-serving way. It's kind of sociopathic, psychopathic way almost. You know, everybody's trying to get over, and be the victim at the same time, and have it both ways. And that's not how life works. You can't do that without repercussions. That's what I like. Can't do all this other stuff without repercussion. It's not gonna happen. So that's rule number one. And the crazy part about it is, for some odd reason, people of the last couple of generations expect this to actually work. I don't see how. And you notice this because the dysfunction comes in when you got young boys who think you're going to use women for sex unapologetically with no consequence, and you got young girls thinking you could use men for money unapologetically and with no consequence because they were raised to believe that, you know, there was no discipline and structure. There was this angst and animosity toward the same sex and the opposite sex. So now it's just dog eat dog, killer be killed. But at the same time, you're the victim too. It's not gonna work. So I think it's a bad idea. That's all I'm saying. It's just a bad idea. Peace.